in South Carolina today. This is now known as the Modoc Trail in Sumter National Forest. Everybody around the area, we just called it the Stevens Creek Trail, mainly because of Stevens Creek running right nearby. It's a multi-use trail, at least nowadays, and hikers, mountain bikers, and deer hunters will use it to gain access into the Sumter National Forest. If you are out here during hunting season, please wear orange blaze, something bright, to let hunters be able to see you when you're actually walking on the trail, because it is very thick in the woods in this area. You don't want to become a statistic here. You see a lot of changes have been here since the last I've been in this woods. This has undergone a thinning for forestry, so it's very open up there on top of the hill. Whereas you can see downhill, which got a little feeder creek right here going in right near the highway. It's South Carolina Highway 23. As you can see, the downhill side of the trail is still quite thick, and the reason for that, of course, is to maintain a buffer area for wildlife and wetlands protection, riparian zone habitat around forested areas when they're doing thinning cuts or harvesting. Usually these pools are pretty clear, but obviously they've had quite a bit of rain from whatever a few days ago, so it's running pretty red. A lot of the what's called red Georgia clay. The trail, by the way, is not blazed. It never has been. It's always had just ups and downs, fairly easy. And it's said to be about 6 miles from point to point. When I used to come out here, and I'm going to be dating myself a couple decades ago, it was only about 3 miles. At least we thought it was only 3 miles. Well, I take it back. There is a blaze out there. First one I've ever seen out here. Oh, can we get them for plagiarizing the Appalachian Trail? Which this is not even close. We're actually in the Piedmont region, or the fall line, which is the transition zone between the Appalachian Range and the coastal plain. Something just moved over there. I think it was a lizard. It's pretty quick. You can see how much this has opened up. Last time I was here, the uphill side looked pretty much the same as the downhill side. It was totally socked in, and you'll see now, you can actually see blue sky, whereas before the canopy was completely covering everything. Also looks like they did some prescribed burning in here. You see the charring right here. Maybe a piece here. Yeah, so you can see the charcoal on the barks of these pine trees. What that does is help quickly. They put ash on the ground from all the dead wood. Kills invasive species. Also, some species of trees and plants cracks open their seeds and nuts so they can sprout, and you end up with the ground cover and forage for the wildlife. It actually is, when properly used, a good tool for forest management and wildlife habitat improvement. Here we got a little signpost saying half a mile. I've already come. Those are all new. I won't be able to go do the entire length of the trail today. Just about a mile or so before I'm going to have to leave. But maybe this will be enough to whet somebody's appetite if you live in this local area and you haven't been up here yet. You can hear the cicadas now. Here's our second feeder creek. It's just basically a small creek. Ride across it through the mud if you're brave enough, or maybe foolish enough, or walk across it. Either one. And since this is a national forest, in this area anyway, we're going to get to do a little bit of something that most people wouldn't dream of doing or have the opportunity. Certainly in some areas you don't do this, but I happen to know this area pretty well. I happen to know the terrain and its characteristics, and having spent around 20 years in it, I know where to go and where not to go. And so we're going to do a little bushwhacking here before we head back to the car. Maybe we'll see some wildlife. We used to see them all over, up and down the trail before mountain bikers discovered it. You could walk in here and see squirrels and birds and maybe 10, 20, sometimes even 30 white-tailed deer just moving around everywhere. literally 30 deer, every time you walk in. You just walk in and see them feeding or traveling. It's quite a sight. Hickory nut, which is native, and then privet, which is not. If you have privet in your yard, kill it, please. It will take over your yard. This is known as river cane. Deer will eat the leaves off of that. This area, it's a hardwood bottom. It's near the creek, and it's fairly flat. Let me just follow this a bit. You can already hear the cars in the background on the highway. And here's a little deer dookie. So you know the deer have been going through here on a regular basis. This is their home, their cover, so we won't linger, so as not to disturb them too much. What I really wanted to show you is right over here on the edge of this area. What I'm coming up to is Stevens Creek. As you can see, it's got a lot of water in it now from the recent rains we've had over the past couple weeks in the middle Georgia, South Georgia, crossing into middle and northern South Carolina. There's actually a canoe launch over by the bridge, or at least there used to be. So if you're into canoeing, that's something else you can do, at least when there's enough water and we're not in a drought. But for now, we're going to head back to the car, head on home, and there's some deer tracks right here. That's a decent sized animal right there. It's not too fresh, but within a couple days or so, maybe less, and maybe we'll see you on the trail. And please like and subscribe to my videos.